Hey, Riddle here. So I wanted to share with you experiences that you may have trying to get help for yourself dealing with chronic fatigue syndrome and or fibromyalgia. It's really difficult to get the diagnosis, especially if you live in a smaller town where you may be dealing with doctors that are overworked and forced to work within a really limited template. And what I mean by a template is, I've had relationships with doctors before, and they work those poor bastards. You think they've got like this perfect life, but they have no life. Most of them are just desperately trying to pay off their hundreds and thousands of dollars in loans, and they give them this little box to work in, and they don't have time to do any of their own research like we do. And quite frankly, most Western medicine is not in the business of healing, it's in the business of band-aiding to make more money from more drugs and more procedures that create more problems. And I hate to be cynical about this, but I've had my share of health issues over the years, and 99% of the time I had to figure out my own solutions, because the only solutions they had were drugs that would cause more problems, that would cause more drugs, would cause more problems. So super healthy, crazy exercise, great diet, almost in my mid-50s now, and got hit with a chronic fatigue about 7 to 10 years ago. And tried the Western medicine direction, but they don't know what it is, honestly. They kind of know it's an inflammation, and I kind of know this, and so they send you to the rheumatologist, and then the rheumatologist gave me these super expensive tests, the MRI and all this bullshit, and then never made a second appointment to follow up on it. And then my doctor wanted to send me to Stanford, and I was like, but doctor, they don't have a cure for this or any medication for this. So they're going to give me graduated exercises to do, already doing them, and blah, 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 change your diet, maybe some weird drug they're going to try on you, thousands of dollars. And then of course you have all those hours of driving. Stanford's like an hour and a half away from my house. And that's the first thing you want to do when you're chronically fatigued, is have to drive and think and, high function. These so-called healthcare professionals, these doctors who are supposed to be practicing medicine, they're not practicing medicine. Because of our legal system, they're terrified to try anything new, and they're not able to practice medicine. So really, if your doctor helps you, you are lucky, really lucky, because most doctors will not try anything new. They have their template, which keeps them safe from being sued, and that's where they stay. But it gets worse because it gets dark, because if you watch my other videos, I found the low-dose naltrexone. And I took this to my doctor and I said, hey, this is helping a lot of people. It's inexpensive, it's not highly toxic. Will you practice medicine? Will you help me get this drug? And she refused. But she was so interested in, watching my blood work and monitoring me, so fair enough. She doesn't want the liabilities. She doesn't want to practice medicine. I went to a naturopathic doctor. She listened to me. She prescribed the low-dose naltrexone. It's $30 out of my pocket every month, and it gave me back my life. It worked for me. It worked great for me. This is where it gets strange. So my doctor never did follow through with monitoring my liver enzymes or anything like that. It was all just blah, blah, blah. And this year I finally decided that my doctor was not a good match for me. It's been 5 years since I had a physical exam, a colorectal exam, and I'm a man in his mid-50s, and it was just neglect, like extreme neglect. And we're supposed to have great health care. My spouse works for Apple, and I had better health care when I was on welfare. It's shocking. Sutter Health, specifically, if you're in California, Northern California, that place is a circus. So I left my doctor to go to another doctor. And I wanted to interview the doctor beforehand so we weren't wasting each other's time. So I told the doctor the circumstances, and all I said was this. It was really simple. If you can't help me with your methodologies, your medicine, I just want to know that I'm working with a doctor who will support my decisions to find alternative ways to heal myself. Seemed reasonable. I do not have a problem right now with chronic fatigue. And I spent all the time sending all my documents and paperwork over to the new doctor to become his patient. Just for him, after I went through all that, for his office to call me and tell me that he recommends I go to Stanford. Why? All I need is a yearly physical. I need a yearly physical. I need basic health care. And these doctors don't listen. They're so fucking arrogant. They're so arrogant. I didn't want him to manage my chronic fatigue. I figured it out. No thanks to any of you Western medicine doctors. No thanks. And yet he's so lazy and so apathetic. He looked at my records and still wants me to drive an hour and a half to Stanford. For what? To get my ass checked? So the only reason I'm ranting and telling you about this video is don't be discouraged. Don't be discouraged because the majority of doctors are not going to be open to you helping yourself. They're not going to be open to you healing yourself. They have huge egos and they work in this little template. And if you don't prescribe to exactly what they tell you, which is usually a list of toxic drugs or ineffective treatments or basically sorry about your luck, it's just a trap. Sometimes I wish I wouldn't have even brought it to my doctor's attention. I should have just dealt with it because they're a joke. And that's all I have to say. If you're dealing with chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia, blah, 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 just be careful. Be careful of what you get sucked into. Be careful of who you trust. These people are supposed to be health care professionals, but I don't find them to be healthful or caring, and I definitely don't see them in the business of healing. And that's it. Please leave your comments below. Take care.